Howdy everyone, Holly from Enjoy the Journey Dog Training and precious Miss Opal. We've done some drills this morning on her prong collar. She's got all of her basic commands on board, and now we're practicing duration. We're going to start proofing those and transitioning her to her eCollar so we can start pairing that new language of what we have been teaching her to the pressure on, pressure off of eCollar. So this is a little fitting video for Miss Opal, and being that she is a real fluffy, long, furred dog on her neck particularly, we're going to start with the wingtips. Okay, from eCollar Technologies. I use these on my Huskies. Think of them like a little comb. You can comb through their hair, and that way we can make good, consistent contact. It's really important that this is a snug fit. It stays in contact with the muscle group. We still rotate it every 3 or 4 hours like we would any other contact point, but this just helps us get through that beautiful hair of hers. We also, because she's kind of a smaller Aussie, we also have opted just for the buckle. This is the quick snap along with the buckle and no bungee. Bungee is really nice when you got really big dogs or you need a little extra flex. We're already going to have some gaps because of her fur, and so we want to make sure we get a nice snug fit, and I'm hoping we can do that with just the quick snap, which makes it easy to get on and off. But first we have to fit it and get the right measurement with the buckle. She's only a year old, so she's also going to keep growing, and so we'll make a cute little bow tie, which when she's about 2 years old, they can trim off once we get a full grown fit, right? So it's important to note that when you're fitting your dog, it's not one size fits all. It's not everybody's the same. She can flex throughout the day, whether she's warm, but make sure you watch the overview of the eCollar video as well, because it tells you all about the tool itself as far as the receiver, the strap, the remote. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and pair the two with the 2 red magnets, 2 red dots. Those are magnets. And then I'm going to push the big button on the back of the remote until it's turned on. There we go. So we've got this on. I'm going to set it aside. I've got my handy little travel magnet there. And then we've got a regular green flash, so we know this is on. All right. Miss Opal, here, sit. So again, the ideal area is going to be kind of almost parallel with her ears down her neck. Yes, because that's where her biggest muscle group's going to be. It technically can go anywhere. I just try and avoid the trachea because there's not as much muscle there. And again, it's a muscle stimulator. She is wearing her flat collar, and she's got her, prong collar on, which we're going to make sure is all the way high up on her neck. And it might be a little difficult to see. We're going to make what's called an eCollar sandwich, yes, in that we've got her flat collar with her name tag on. Then we're going to have the eCollar here, and then the prong collar. So we got from regular collar, eCollar, prong collar. Prong collar is always highest on the neck, so we can have that nice seamless directional control if we need to. Always have your leash and your prong collar on when doing this so she doesn't get all squirrely. Obviously, she's in think mode. So thread that through there. Make sure I'm not crossed over on the leash. And let's see, I'm gonna probably have to adjust this. All right, so I've just shored that up a bit. Let's see if we can, I like to find a nice position, thread it, then I can, like I said, kind of comb these wingtips through her hair because I want to make sure, see here, I get a good seated position through all this fuzzy wuzzy hair. Yeah. I try to keep the buckle off the trachea again just because that's, the hardest part of the strap. But again, doesn't hurt them. They're very flexible. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've got good seating. It's a little loose. Some of the things that we do to test the fit, just like the prong collar, right? We want to make sure the prong collar chain engages, that we can rotate it around. Even with her long hair, we can do that. But the eCollar, we do not want this receiver to rotate around her neck. We want it to stay in place in contact with that muscle group, right? So it should not rotate. what I'm doing right here, this is actually just moving along with her fur and her skin a little bit, so it's staying in contact with the muscle group. If I go to put my fingers under it, with the wingtips, there's a little bit more space, but I should not be able to get my whole hand under there. But if I try, I can get my fingertips. Okay, so that's about good. And then lastly, we make sure that she, of course, feels the sensation. So before I make the bow tie, I'm just gonna give a little quiet stem, no words. And I always start at 2 and go up by 2s just to see if there's any connection, if you will, with the muscle stimulation physically. And then obviously mentally, I want her to go register and go, what was that, right? No different if I gave her a little directional pressure with the prong car. She goes, what's that? And she goes into it. So we're just gonna see at 2. Yes, we might have got resonance there, but I also moved, so we'll wait. When the red is on, that means there's stem. Again, I'm not looking for anything crazily overt. Sometimes it's just a little bit of the ears going forward. I do this the first couple of times she begins wearing it, especially as we get into a nice comfortable fit.